Welcome to episode 4 of High Above Courtside. My name is Jason. That's Steven, and that's Anthony. Guys, what's going on?
Chilling.
How are we doing, fellas?
So we're going to start with the Bucks game. Anthony, I want to start with you. With the Celtics being 3-0 on the season versus the Bucks, do you believe the Celtics just have their number in terms of the Bucks not knowing how to stop them or find a way to beat them?
So the Bucks are an interesting team. I think the Bucks are better than they were at the beginning of the season. I think they're better than they were last year. But I think the Bucks have an issue with Celtics specifically. They just don't have the personnel to match up with the Celtics wings, Jalen and Tatum, Jalen and Jason specifically. I mean, it's tough when you have obviously the Dame problem. Dame's awesome offensively, but they can hunt him every time on defense, and it's tough for the Bucks because not just because of Dame, but also having Brook Lopez, who's key for them. They need him out there, and he struggles so much on the perimeter versus these guys that it's now you have 2 of your 5 guys you have on the court that you need out there to beat the Celtics that just really can't guard 4 out of their 5 guys. So it's always going to be a tough puzzle to solve for the Bucks. And I mean, I'm not sure how they do it with the current personnel they have, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best long ball shooting night from the boys in this one, but it's not. You don't really need that against this team. We're just so well equipped to play them, personnel wise, scheme wise. We shot a hair over 32% from deep in this game, 17 out of 53 threes. And the Bucks made 11 of 29, and it really didn't matter. We still won shooting that terribly. For a little breakdown on how it went down, we went a little buck wild, pun intended, in the first half, putting up 28 threes. And to put that into context, the Bucks shot 29 for the entire game, like I said. In the first quarter, we went 7 for 16, then went absolutely ice cold. In the second quarter, 0 for 12 from 3, but that didn't stop this team from getting up those threes, baby. They went 10 for 25. In the second half is 40%, but 61% of all our shots were from deep. And that's going to happen. We play, a high volume 3 type game, and if those shots are there, we're going to take them. Both teams made 40 shots overall, but we shot 7 less shots at them at 46%, and they shot 42.6%. So overall, we shot a little bit better than them. Usually losing the shot margin hurts us, but like I said, Missoula Ball always gives us this team a shot to win this type of game with the threes going up. The biggest thing for me though is 6 turnovers tonight, which is much better than we'll talk later about the Pistons game where we had 16 turnovers. That was putrid. But I was in the game for this one. Tony will talk a little bit from his perspective because he was at the game for the Memphis matchup. But I got to witness a Tatum masterclass. My man had 34 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 turnover. Do you hear that? This guy's controlling the game with high usage, too. High usage. He went 12 for 20, 60%, super efficient. 4 for 10 from 3, 40%. It's exactly the number you want to be seeing. He hovers right around 37, so that's it's great to be above that. And then 75% from the free throw line. I'm gonna snap. These guys cannot be missing free throws. It's ridiculous. He was 6 for 8. But this is an interesting thing as well. Joe switched up the rotations in this game by subbing Tatum out halfway through the first quarter and rode with Jalen the rest of the time. He's been experimenting throughout the season, and it's just always good to see what
back and forth.
Yeah, it's always good to see what's going through Joe's brain right here. What's he seeing that he wants one to play over the other? And why do you think that is, Tony? Why is he just going with the hot hand? Is he a matchup? You think?
I feel like Joe. A lot of it is just to make them both used to it of not giving a guy a defined role. So it's like, if injuries come up or just for some reason the game calls for one of them staying in the first quarter or not, I think he just likes to live in the uncomfortable, like he always says. And so, I mean, to me, that's really why he does it. And
yeah.
I mean, more about this. I mean, Tatum has been dominating the Bucks for his whole career, at least the last 3 or 4 years, dominating. And it goes back to the personnel. He can get whatever he wants whenever he wants to get them. Brook, for as great of a defender as Brook Lopez is, he cannot guard on the perimeter.
Dude,
and the Celtics,
he's a dinosaur out there.
They pull him out over and over and over again. And if it's not him, they'll have Pritchard or Derek or whoever Dame's guarding set a screen, and then you'll get Dame. And the problem with the Bucks is that you can just keep cracking them off the dribble over and over. So those threes are always there. It doesn't really matter. And I mean, even when Brook's out of the game, then here comes Bobby Portis, who's worse on the perimeter than Brook Lopez. So I don't know how. This is what I mean when I like the Bucks. I think are the third best team in the East, to be honest. But I don't see how they contend with the Celtics. I mean, I don't know if it's. Did you have to play Giannis at center and just go super small against the Celtics? I'm not sure, but I just personnel wise, it's always going to be tough for them.
I think the key for the Bucks to even come close to be able to competing with the Celtics is Gary Trent and Pat Connaughton have to be able to shoot threes and match what Pritchard and Hauser give us off the bench, because those are the guys, and Terrence Prince to a degree, but like he really hasn't been doing much. But those guys for them have to be able to step up, and if they don't, then they're never going to be able to compete in my eyes.
Yeah, I think it's almost like Tatum and the whole gang, the Celtics organization in general, should be charged with mental terrorism, because that's what we're doing to the Bucks and their whole organization and fan base. We just come through the building, whether it's our house, their house, it doesn't matter, and we just put on a heartbreaking loss to them because they think they have a shot every time and they just don't. I kind of want to touch on Tatum's fourth quarter because it was immaculate. Yeah, he went 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists on 5 of 5 shooting, 2 from 2 from 3. The ever elusive free throws, 2 for 3 from the line, but that's all right. The man was on a mission and was not going to take that L to that night. But as soon as the quarter started, Tatum hit 2 threes. He had one with Brook Lopez. He dotted it right in his eye. Brook Lopez fouled him like a dumbass. Ended up being a and one. Tatum finished it with the 4-point play. The rest of Tatum's shots were at the rim, and that's a sign that Tatum was taking this quarter serious by attacking the Bucks, like Tony said before, below average perimeter defenders. But my favorite play at the game, I recorded it because I knew Tatum, once he was dancing, he had Lopez out on the right wing. He was getting ready to load up. So Lopez switched onto him with 28 seconds left, right around there. On the right wing, Tatum attacked him, decked the ball, took it left all the way out to the paint, left-hand drive. Drew relocates, fills him in the right wing. Tatum finds him once the defense collapsed on him. Drew pump fakes the 3, takes a couple steps in for a running floater from the elbow line, extended, game. That's just like what this team is, though. Like, there's no one that can really stay with us. And because Tatum's such an unselfish player, all our players actually are, because they just want to make the great pass to get even better shot. So I just think that play encapsulated Tatum's evolution, because he could have just took that step back that we see so many times when, it's late in the game, but he decided to put his head down, make a play, and ended up really sealing the win for us.
Or like 3 or 4 years ago, Tatum probably might go at 2 or 3 guys in the paint, and it happened
I'm trying to finish it
against Memphis, which we'll get into later. But his rim reads are unbelievable this year. He's the best wing in the league for that reason. He can do everything, and every time he gets to the paint, he makes the right read every single time. And the last play where Drew ends up hitting the floater was just another example of that. And he did that over and over and over. And again, it's because the Bucks cannot contain him on the perimeter. And the Celtics are so good because it's not just containing Tatum. It's containing Brown, Derek White, KP, who didn't even play. But they have so many guys who can beat a one-on-one matchup. It's for a team like the Bucks, it's always going to be a struggle for them.
Yeah, I mean, Drew loves playing them. I mean, this game, he had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 0 turnovers, 50% from the field, 44% from 3. And what you like to see, and we're going to kind of tee off on him during the Memphis game, but he shot 2 for 5 from the corners tonight, which is more in line with his shooting from the previous season from that area. Last year, he was 60% from the corners. This year, he's just a hair over 30%. We'll touch on more on that later, but it was just good to see him coming off, there's 2 games off, the knee injury, and just putting up a good stat line. Pritchard had a tough one, huh, guys? A little goose egg there after averaging 23 points over his last 5.
again, I mean, you still beat the Bucks, and I think Derek went 0 for 8.
Yeah.
Pritchard had 0 points. Like
Hauser had 16.
Even when those guys, Hauser, I want to touch on later, has been great of late.
Mhm.
But like that's what I mean. Even when two of your guys have an off night, and Dame and Giannis, their scoring numbers were there. They put up big numbers, but it's still not enough for the Celtics because they're going to give up an open three every time, and the volume that the Celtics will shoot it at, it's just the math's not going to work out for Milwaukee. Joe will trade 2s for 3s all game long, and Giannis is going to he's going to be Giannis and he's going to get his 2s. But if you can't defend the perimeter against the Celtics, it's you're not going to win 4 out of 7. That's for sure, and that's why I don't have the Bucks as a real threat to the Celtics. I think they're a threat to the Cavs and some other teams in the East, but I just don't see it 4 out of 7 games, barring health, in the playoffs for the Bucks. So,
yeah, I mean, Giannis had his numbers: 30 points, 11 rebounds, but only 1 assist, and that's really comes down to our personnel. And I know you're going to get into it, Jason. So I'll let you go with the salacious question.
Anthony, so obviously we saw that play of Giannis and Jaylen Brown after that, little layup and chippiness. Do you think Giannis is a dirty player?
Yeah, Giannis, he just gets – it's not talked about enough around the league and around, NBA podcasts and Twitter and whatever it is. He's unbelievable. Giannis is the second best player in the league to me. He's awesome. He does – and he's such a physical presence. He's a monster. He's Shaq 2.0. Like, he doesn't need the extracurricular stuff that always comes up. And this game specifically, obviously everyone saw, Jaylen gives him the too small. No, this is after the last time they played when Giannis gives him the fake, the fake high five, like he's a 10-year-old out there. And it's like, okay, he gives you too small. Then you throw an elbow at his face. And he gets babied by the officials where it's like, so now we can't get mad at Giannis for throwing elbows. He throws elbows when he's driving to that basket. He's playing fullback out there, which fine. It's within the rules, and it's what makes him great. But he doesn't need the extracurricular stuff. I mean, you can go down a list of not this past. So he throws the elbow this past game. He has the fake high five, weirdo thing the other game.
After Jaylen Brown just got elbowed.
After he elbows Jaylen across the face and gets an offensive foul, and it's like, and then Jaylen's, to his credit, is like, all right, let's we're all good. It's basketball, and he pulls that, it's childish nonsense. And I mean, let's not forget you remember the ladder incident, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You remember the ladder a few years ago when we're trying to shoot free throws after the game, and he's assaulting employees or team employees and stuff. People forget
he hummed that ladder.
Let it slide because it's Giannis and he's a nice guy and he acts like he's 15 and he's just like oh yeah, happy-go-lucky. If that's Draymond, NBA Today is talking about it. You know what I mean? It's just it's not fair that the narrative's not out there that dude, you're not Bobby Portis. You're not a 6 man who needs to play, throw elbows and get physical. It's like you're the second best player in the league, dude. You're doing this to other superstars where it's like it's nonsense garbage that needs to be called out for Giannis. It goes on too much for my liking.
Agreed.
So I want to move to the Grizzlies game because I think we have a lot about that game in terms of substance. So before we talked about the game itself, what did you guys think about Marcus Smart's return and the atmosphere in the building for his return?
Tony, you were there. What do you think there?
Yes, I was there Saturday. It was good. I mean, standing out real quick. I kind of forgot that I guess last year they played a montage video when he was injured last year, and he was on the sideline. So actually, it wasn't I kind of expected more. They kind of just got on with the game, which is probably what Marcus wanted, and I guess probably what the Celtics wanted too. But I mean, it was a good ovation, and I mean, Marcus was the Grizzly. I mean, I love Marcus like everybody else, but I'm not as smart, crazy as some other people. He was the Grizzlies' worst player, in that game. Yeah. It was it was
the full Marcus Smart experience.
Yeah, he was 1 for 12. He defended Porzingis well on a couple possessions, which is what he does. But just watching that game as a Celtics fan, I looked at it and go, "Oh my God, thank God we got off that guy when we did." Like, and to get Porzingis for him and a first round pick, it's like, Jesus Christ, this guy's he's a shell of himself. He's not what he used to be. And you watch him like take mid-range fadeaways from the foul line and just like, what is going on? Like, why are those? I don't know if it was because he was playing the Celtics and he was trying to like. There was even a couple times where he was like dancing with Tatum and like trying to go back and forth with him, which like I didn't love that Tatum fell into that. I thought it was kind of cool in the moment, but it's like if you're a Grizzlies fan or like John Morant, you're like, dude, come on, like what are you doing? Like Jaren Jackson's getting whatever he wants whenever, every possession, and you decide you need to try to break down Jason Tatum, like one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Like for what? You know what I mean? It was kind of bizarre, but yeah, it was the full smart experience for sure.
It was ridiculous. But it just wasn't our night. But also it doesn't have to be like Celtics fans specifically, like on like whatever socials there are, because there's a lot of like non-Celtics fans, like Memphis fans, totally like, oh, it's a good win. Does not an indictment on the Celtics team at all. But you'll have the talking heads in local radio going off. You'll have, like I said, people on Twitter, Blue Sky, wherever, just like melting down about it. It doesn't have to be 1,000-word write-up on breaking down the loss. It's the 5th game, 7 nights, 6th game in 9 nights. The boys were tired. It was apparent. Terrible shooting display we saw during this game. I just want to give you a couple of disparities here. All right. So Celtics were 42-105 from the field, right? 40%. That sucks. 18 for 60, 63s. It's kind of high for my liking, but it's fine. 30%. That's not the best. 19 for 28. These free throws are going to give me gray hair. I'm losing it over here. 67.9%. And then the Grizzlies on the other side, 47 for 94. They shot 50% from the field, 15 for 33, 45.5%. That sucks, right? Because their average this season is 34.8. Teams always do this to us. 45.5% against us from three. They shot okay from the free throw line, 78%, but they dominated us in points in the paint. It was 64-40. That's a tough one there. And we could move over to Ja and Triple J. Because they kind of went off. The 3-point shooting really was like crazy for me for Ja. He shot 4 for 6, 66.7%.
30% on the season. He's 30% on
30% on the season. On 4.5 attempts, he shot it 6
times. If he goes 1 for 6, you win that game by 10 points probably.
Yeah. Jaren Jackson Jr. was 3 for 4, 75%. He shoots 35% average on 5.2. And those right there, those outliers is what really doesn't make me upset about these types of losses. And we only lost by, what was it? 6 points, 6 points. So it's not even it's not like we got
still
like
put
blown,
up 20.
blown out.
Right.
Yeah.
Shot horribly from 3 and still put up 121 points, which is, anyone that gets mad about that, it's like we scored 120. You win 9 out of 10 of those games. I'm not concerned with the shot volume. One more thing to add, I'm the theme defensively. The Celtics weren't locked in defensively. Obviously, rest was an issue for Saturday. The Grizzlies are the best paint scoring team in the league. Highest field goal percentage in the paint, most points per game in the paint. So I mean, you're playing a team that's what they do. So it was kind of a tough recipe. Especially not having with Horford out. Jaren Jackson killed them in the second half. And, it was like when they had KP or Kata out there, he was killing them with quickness. And then they'd try to throw Jalen on him or Drew a little bit, and then he was just way too big. And it was like this was just a perfect game that if you saw them in a series in the playoffs, it's like you're sticking Al on him. And he might have – Jaren Jackson's awesome, but he's not cooking Al for 30 points consistently in a potential final series. So, credit to the Grizzlies, who I do think are contenders and are very good, but it was a little bit of fool's gold that game, I think.
I agree. And, Peyton was the only one that really showed up. And Joe, I was kind of a little pissed about this one. Joe decided to close the game with him instead of Drew. And to me, that was a tad late on the adjustment. I think it should have happened a little sooner. Drew was having a tough one. They were disrespecting him, leaving him butt naked out there on the 3-point line. I have some stats for you guys because the NBA designates defending players very tightly contested, 0 to 2 feet. So that the defender's 0 to 2 feet away from you, tightly contested, 4 to 6 feet, open, 4 to 6 feet away, and then there's, excuse me, wide open is 6+ feet away. Drew was 4 for 17 on open shots. 4 for 17. That's bananas. He was 4 for 14 on wide open. No one around. He was 4 for just 28%.
I think he was 4 for 9 on shots with a defender 10 feet or more away, which is like absurd. It's like more than wide open. It's like, but like you said, like they disrespected. I don't think they disrespected Drew. I just think when you play the Celtics, it was a good. The thing about
it's a good scheme.
That scheme was it's great. It's a great one-off. Like it was a great scheme for Taylor Jenkins on a random Saturday night game in the regular season. You're playing him once. We're going to win one game tonight, and that might happen. It's just if you do that in a playoff series, like people are asking, we'll ask the question: are the teams going to try this? Maybe, but it's not. But I'm going to live with. If you go back, I mean, we just said the stats. Drew was wide open. Like you're not passing up wide open threes for contested twos. And it happened a couple times in the fourth quarter, if you go back and watch, that Tatum got blocked at the rim once, Jalen got blocked at the rim once, because, I mean, that was the scheme. It was, okay, we're going to leave him. And once when the fourth quarter came and end of fourth quarter came, they kind of passed those looks up a little bit. And then you have Jaren Jackson, who's Defensive Player of the Year, like at the rim along with two other guys swarming you. And it's like, they want you to shoot at the rim in that case because they have three defenders in there. So fans that will get mad about, and even people in the crowd, it was like moaning and groaning. And it's like, so you'd rather a contested two in the paint over Jaren Jackson, who's former Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, they played double big the whole game. They had 2 7-footers on the court at all times. So it's like, it's just one of those nights. It's like what we saw. They lost 3 playoff games last year. The ones they lost were the games that they just could not hit a three, and the other team made a lot of their threes, and that's what happened. And it's all right. It's just, and it's a good scheme by Taylor Jenkins. It's just I don't know that in a 7-game series it works that well because it didn't really work. They scored 121 points. You know what I mean? Like it's not like they held them to 95, and it was like, oh wow, they got the Celtics out of the game and shut them down. It's like scoring 121 in the NBA now is like you're winning 9 out of 10 of those games. So
let me give you a little chink in the armor, maybe a little devil's advocate. Drew shot 3 for 10 from the corners in this game, and as I mentioned previously, he's shooting 30% from the corners this season, which is the 24th percentile in the league. Last year, 60%, 98th percentile last season. Drew's about the same percentages from non-corner threes, so that's not like an issue. It just seems to be the corner threes dragging down his percentages. But when you look at the wide open threes this year, doesn't matter the corners or not. He's 23 for 67. That's 34%. Last year, he was 92 for 217, 42.4%. So he had a slow start last year. He may be having a slow start this year. He just played the Olympics, the long championship drag we have from – it was just like a lot of games on him. So maybe that has something to do with it. But here's another thing that I found a little nerve-wracking. The worst part is the Celtics offense this season with Drew on the court is 13.2 points per 100 possessions worse. That's 4th percentile. That's not the best man compared to Pritchard. 6.8 points per 100 is 85th percentile. But obviously, Drew's defensive numbers are way better with him on the court. Opponents' field goal percentage is 2.6% lower. Opponents' 3-point percentage is 4.8% lower. So, the on and off are the same between Pritchard and Drew. I'm not saying he has to start over him. I'm just saying that it looks like there seems to be a little wear and tear early in the season, and he may need to be on the Al Horford plan going forward.
Yeah, which I would be fine with. He's 34 or 35 or whatever he is. There were a couple of fixes. I don't know if Jason, you saw anything that they would like possible counters to the way the Grizzlies paid him, but I do have a few if anyone wants to hear them.
Yeah, go for it.
There was so the obvious one is like putting a guy in the dunker spot, which early in the game there was one I went back and watched where Jaren Jackson was was covering Drew in the corner, and he comes down, helps Jalen kicks to Drew. He ended up missing 3. If you go back and watch that, the KP's there on the roll. It's an easy dunk. Like Jalen had 2, he could have gone either way. You go to the open 3. It's an open corner 3. Like he didn't make Jalen made the right play. It's just that there's another play off that maybe in a playoff series you're saying, hey, look for the roll man here. Like KP's in the dunker spot. Let's throw that up to him there. Another one is that a lot of those actions you have Derek up top with one of the Jays starting the action, and Drew's in the corner. The easiest fix is if, say we get to April and Drew's still shooting 30% from the corners, and it's like, oh, this is a problem. The easy fix is, okay, if you're going to stick Jaren Jackson on Drew, now Drew's going to run the action from the top. You know what I mean? If Jaren Jackson wants to stand near half court with Drew, that's fine, because now your best – it's harder to help from the top of the key than it is from the corner. So you just switch. And the Celtics have so many guys who are interchangeable. You just switch Derek and Drew, and now Derek's in the corner, and it's like, hey, you're not. If you want Jaren Jackson to help off the corner, he's not helping off Derek White. Mm-hmm. And the other obvious ones were just Horford didn't play, so in a playoff series, you might just go to Al, and Hauser ended up leaving the game, or maybe you're just going, all right, Drew doesn't have it tonight. We'll stick Sam in the corner. If you want to leave Hauser in the corner, good luck. So, and that Al had a lot to do with losing that game in general, because the Grizzlies are big, so they really couldn't. I mean, the Kada KP thing kind of was all right, but you're not running that in the playoffs. So again, I think
we had a double big lineup of Luke and Kada. What'd you think about that one? That was tough. That was a sight to see.
I actually thought Kada was good.
He was pretty good. He was pretty good.
Also, he had one play in the third quarter where he covered John Morant, who Ja had it, ran baseline, and he covered him, and he took it back up to the perimeter. He covered him. Ja ended up stepping out of bounds. It was like that. That's a 7'1" guy covering John Morant, maybe the quickest player in the league. It was awesome. So give Kada credit, but you're not going to get. Jaren Jackson was eating him up. That was the problem.
Sam was he was tough. It was tough not having Sam there, especially because he's been shooting the ball really well. Getting hurt, he's gonna have a lot of soft tissue injuries lately, so that's a little concerning between the back, the groin strain, and I just want to see him fully healthy so we could get in rhythm and contribute where we need him the most.
So I just wanted to go back to the Drew thing. I personally, for a regular season game, don't mind that he's putting up that many shots, because I know in the playoffs he's not going to be putting up that many shots, because Tatum and Brown and White, they're going to be taking the majority of the shots. But I just don't think Drew's going to struggle this much when it comes down to bigger games. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's going to keep missing wide open threes. I just don't think that's necessarily in his nature, if that makes sense.
No, he's gonna nut up when the time comes.
No way. And if you lose a playoff series by taking wide open corner threes, that's the second best shot in basketball. Fine. That could happen, because sometimes you just lose the shooting luck, and it's okay, we just missed wide open shots. At the end of the day, I mean, the Grizzlies gave up a ton of wide open threes. KP missed 6 or 7 wide open threes. Everyone was missing wide open threes, and you're not gonna. We've seen this story before. If this happened last year, you the hand wringing for me would be louder, but they lost playoff games because they didn't shoot. They lost 3 playoff games because they couldn't hit a 3, and the other team hit their 3s. And every other game in the playoffs, they hit their 3s at a decent clip, and they won every other game. So it's sure, could a team leave Drew in the corner all game? I don't know. If we still score 121 points, then I think we're going to win most of those games.
Yeah.
What you call that's we kind of forgot about the playoffs, even how we lost to Miami, crazy shooting variance there. We lost to the Cavs, crazy
in that game, Miami.
Yeah, the Mavericks had a historic blowout because they were hitting everything. It's just going to happen, but like you said, I don't think they could do it 4 times in 2 weeks.
No, I'm not worried about Drew. He'd have to do this for the rest of the season and shoot this fast.
It's only a quarter.
Concerned out.
Yeah,
right. Because he was great. What did he shoot against Milwaukee? He was 4 of 8 or something like that. He was great against Milwaukee. So I mean, it is what it is. It's sometimes going to be tough.
Yeah, sometimes I just think in general. No, he'll be good. I don't have any lost faith in Drew. He had a bad night against Memphis, and I think going forward, especially during like bigger games in the playoffs, I think he'll come through, and this will sort of be like a. Oh, you remember in the first half when Drew like was shooting under 30%, like
Right.
just
Exactly.
like he'll be fine. But I do want
And there were
to
also
pivot to
some
the
there were also some well, before we get to that, there were always some late in the
yeah
game sets that they ran that where they got like they had KP screening for Tatum, and they got a ton of good looks from that in the fourth quarter, which
Yeah.
it was like it just seemed like they were like, oh, okay, like let's just take what they're giving us. And it wasn't until the fourth quarter like, okay, he's not hitting his shot tonight. Let's bring KP up top, run him and Tatum pick and roll. And it like they basically got good offense every time in the fourth quarter from that until like the last 3 minutes where KP missed like 3 wide open threes in the last 4 minutes of the game. So it was like, on another night they hit a couple of those and they put up 135 and win. You know what I mean?
yeah. So we're gonna pivot towards the Pistons. So Celtics obviously won 130 to 120. So just Steve, what stood out to you in this game from the Celtics?
No JT, no Drew, no problem. What did I tell you last episode, though? These 3-pointers. They, specifically Beasley, he went 6 for 11 in this game. He was red hot. Detroit shot the lights out. They still lost by 10, which is hilarious. They shot 51.2% from the field, 51.3% from three, 20 for 39. How do you lose that game?
23 and you lose by 10. Yeah, right.
How do you lose
Because
that
of the
game?
Zula ball.
Yeah.
Because of the
We made
you
we made one more three, 5 more free throws. There's 8 points right there. You tack on another, 2-pointer, and that's the game. So it's just so hilarious to me. But Peyton Pritchard, ladies, gentlemen, everything in between, this guy's an absolute baller. Teams can't stop him. They can only pray to contain him. What a dagger 3 by him late in the game to seal the win. He had 19, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 7 to 15 shooting. That's 46.7%. 5 of 13. I love Peyton Pritchard getting up double-digit threes. Get him up, dude. 38.5%, 4 turnovers. So this is a little thing I kind of want to look forward to when like other teams pick up their ball pressure on him, and it just makes it a little more challenging for him. But he's so good with the handle. I'm not too worried about it. But he did have 4, even though 1 was like at the end when he was dribbling it out and it kind of went out of bounds. But when it came to nut crunching time, he just shows up. He had those 2 huge offensive rebounds late in the game to extend possessions. He finished the game with 4 offensive rebounds. And this little stat nugget for you guys. Last season, he was top 3 of all players, 6'4" and under in offensive rebound rate. He'll most likely be like around that as well this year. So it's just like something that like teams may not like necessarily account for, that this 6'1", we'll give him that 6'1" guy just coming in and crashing offensive rebounds and really a backbreaker when like they thought they held the good defense for 24 seconds.
He was nails in the fourth quarter. He's awesome.
He was.
There's not much else you can say about the guy. He's been great all year, and he continues to be great. And I think you're right about the Grizzlies game. I think they could have gone to Pritchard a little bit earlier, but it was tough with Jaren Jet. You need like Drew has the weight and the strength to like kind of switch on to their big. So it's a tough call for Joe, but I thought they could have gone to Pritchard a little bit earlier.
He could have said, you know what? The Sam injury kind of is a bummer too, because in the Pistons game, he came out 20 points, 3 rebounds. He was 7 from 12 from the field, 58%, 5 of 10 from the 3-point line, 50%. He's the only one giving a shit about his free throws. He hit them all in 30 minutes played. He went off in the third quarter though, 14 points, 3 for 6 from deep. I wrote this down in my notes while watching the game. How dope was that stop by Sam on one end and then he ran the fast break and finished with a sweet deceleration move, lefty layup for the and one to add insult to injury. Yet again, the whites were dominating.
Yep.
It was unreal. And then Brown played a well-rounded game as well.
Yeah, Jalen was awesome. And Sam, to go back to Sam, has been great of late, and the big thing for me this year for him is he's been shot faking, putting on the floor, and walking into those mid-range jumpers and knocking them down. And that's a huge, huge development in his game. if he adds that, it's so hard to guard because you have to close out so hard on Sam Hauser. If he can just up fake 1 or 2 dribbles, little jumper, it's I don't know how you defend it.
You can't because he's got such great touch in that between game too, and he's got the floater. He could take it to the rim. He decks it, and he also knows where the next person should be. If there's someone steps up here, he knows to pass it over there. He's a very cerebral player as well.
Yeah, he's been great of late. So let's hope. I haven't heard anything on the injury report, but hopefully he's back this week.
So moving forward, the next 3 games, obviously we got the Pistons again, Wizards and Bulls. Not a crazy 3-game slate coming up. I guess a question to you guys is just like, what game out of that 3 like excites you? Like, what game are you clamoring to watch in the next 3?
I think
tell me who's playing, and I'll tell you
what.
Because I think. Tell me who's playing because I want to see a game against these like kind of lesser competition teams. Like it was nice the Pistons game last week because Tatum and Drew didn't play. So like if you get a couple guys taking a night off and you can get more Sam minutes, more Pritchard minutes, more Kata, that's the game I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Pistons game is going to be a tough one. They're not going to play since Saturday, so those motors are going to be humming. They just beat the Knicks 120-111. They think, they're going to be playing with their chest out. They just gave us a tough fought game. Their second unit came in and was real disruptive against us. So you really got to come correct with them. Cade Cunningham, he leads the league in turnovers at 4.7 a game, but he also leads the league in assists at 9.4. So just like it's Jekyll and Hyde with him. It's wild. Jaden Ivey, again, I'm going to give you these guys 3-point shots, 37.8 on 5 attempts. He's got 17.6 points. Malik Beasley, hopefully he doesn't hit 6 or 11 again, but he's shooting 41.3% from 3 at 8.9 a game. And Tobias Harris, I called him a wallflower. This guy came out and gave us 27, 3, and 2 on efficient shooting. He hit 6 for 9 from 3. His average is 34.3%. He hits 66.7%. I got made a fool. Stupid Tobias
You think Philly
Harris.
wants him back? Philly might want him back.
Yeah, they could use him this year. They could
we get buyer's remorse.
Yeah, maybe
a little bit. But I don't know. That whole place over there is a dumpster fire.
Oh, they're done. I mean, Joel doesn't play. Maxey hates everybody. Paul George does his podcast more than he plays, so it's like
podcast P.
Podcast P, baby. Let's go.
But I think the Pistons game is going to be interesting. I don't like the Wizards game. That's just like I just don't like Jordan Poole, and that team's just trash. But the Bulls game is going to be very interesting to me for these reasons alone. They're 119.1 offensive rating. This is 4th in the league. Their field goal percentage is 47.8. That's 9th in the league. And their 3-point field goal percentage is 38.4%. That's 5th in the league. These guys can score, and they're moving fast up and down the court. And then also, this is where it comes into our favor on the defensive end. They give up 123 points a game. That's second last. They give out 35.2% from the 3-point line. That is 8th highest. So we could get our shots up. They're not going to defend, but are we going to engage on the defensive end? Are we going to be able to stop them and put now you don't need 48 full minutes, but maybe give me like 36, 40 minutes. I'll take that, and I think we could win comfortably. I'm going 3-0, even though we went 2-1 last week. I need the 3-0 this week.
I think they'll be 3-0 too.
Yeah,
that's what I have. So we all in consensus.
Time off, so yeah, I mean, how can you not be really? To be honest.
Nah, I know. So I'm
real quick. Oh, sorry. I know we're wrapping up here, but little news from the Heat. Jimmy Butler is getting shopped around, and his desired teams as a Houston native: Houston Rockets, Dallas Mavericks, and the Golden State Warriors. Everybody wants to go to the Golden State Warriors, of course. But what do you think about that? Are they finally gonna make the move and dismantle that team, or 35-year-old getting paid $50 million?
Yeah, they waited too long. Like, I didn't think he's on a 1-year deal, so he's got to re-sign with wherever he goes. which is like you're just not going to get as much as you would have 2 years ago. And I mean, I get you working it. Like that's why in a way that 8 seed run to the finals was like weirdly like it was obviously heartbreaking in the moment for us, but like it weirdly was like worked out in our favor big time because Miami, that was the time that they needed to like retool, and they got tricked into thinking it was going to work with what they had, and now like you're not going to get as much for Jimmy as you could have 2-3 years ago. So I think would be. I think Golden State. I think Golden State's obviously the one that like would scare me a little bit, but Houston, like I don't know why you would if you were Houston, just because like I feel like they're building something, but I don't know. You got to go all in. Like for a 35-year-old guy, if he was 32, I'd say absolutely for Houston, but like I don't know. Why not?
35 years going to play half the season. Ugh.
Right. Like why not wait for another guy to shake free?
Those destinations, the Warriors make the most sense because it's Steph, Dre, and then what is like Kuminga and Wiggins. Like they're not like I just don't those teams, even like the Mavericks, they got
so he fits on that timeline because he's the same age as those guys. So it's like great, go get Jimmy. You got 2 or 3 years to try to get one, and if not, playing it's going to blow it all up. So if you're like the Heat, they're going to get a package probably around Wiggins, right? Because there's no way they're going to let go of Kuminga after what he's done the last couple of weeks. I would say it would have to be Kuminga, I think. Like, why would you get – I mean, what's Wiggins now, 29, 30? Like, he's got to be up there.
Yeah,
what are you going to get 5 years younger for – I don't know.
I don't know, like, if the Warriors would – like, would you trade Kuminga for Jimmy Butler if you're the Warriors? Like, does that make sense?
If Steph Curry wants him, yeah. Like if I'm
it all depends on what Steph wants.
Because I don't think Kuminga is like going to be like some top tier like I don't think he's ever going to be an all-star. And if he is, he's like going to be like a 1 or 2 time all-star type guy. But like, so, like what's in it for the Warriors? They get to 60 2 years in a row, and then Jonathan Kuminga does what? Like makes them maybe a playing team. Like if you get Jimmy with Dre and Steph, like. And they still have shooting around them, and there's some decent depth there. Like they instantly become right up there with Dallas and OKC to me. With the pedigree they have. And Jimmy's a dog in the playoffs. So like, if I'm Golden State, I would do it. But it's like when you had Brady at the end for the Pats. It's like what? Like let's just go and do. Like you don't have much left. So like, what is it to lose? It's just you're not winning. I don't think the Warriors are winning with their current roster. So I think. They're the one team. Them and the Lakers are the teams in the league that's like you have to make a move now. You're old. It's getting blown up soon anyway. So
yeah, that is true. So we're all in consensus on 3-0 for the upcoming games. Is there anything else you guys want to add? Any final thoughts?
Peyton Pritchard still rolling. I'm rolling with him. 6 man. Yeah, I really hope he can get enough numbers to get most improved. DeAndre Hunter is looking really good over down in Atlanta. Yeah. So that's a little challenging, but I think, especially because he's on so many national televised games too, it kind of props him up a little bit. Peyton Pritchard, that is. So hopefully we can get that rolling too. But 6th man of the year campaign rolls on.
Final thoughts. Al Horford still owns Giannis. I mean,
hell yeah, he does.
What else can you say about what Al did to Giannis in that game? He's 38 and he's still no one in the league guards Giannis better than Al Horford. I don't know what's going to happen to me when Al Horford finally decides to retire, but I just hope that day never comes.
All right. So that will do it for us. You guys can follow us on X at HA Courtside, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.